Greetings everybody and welcome to Thursday Night Fights here on YouTube. Let me tell you, without having done the streaming this week on Tuesday and Wednesday, it does feel like I have not been around you guys for some time. And that is true. It has been a week, but it seems like a really long week. So, first little piece of news that I will go ahead and get out of the way. I will be streaming Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux Beta 6.04 tomorrow, which is Friday, from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock Eastern Time in the afternoon. I have confirmed that I will be able to stream as of now 3 Fridays in a row, so it'll be tomorrow plus another 2. However, I did agree with my job to go to the full-time schedule, which will take me Monday to Friday, so there is a highly solid chance that June will be the only month where I do the Friday streaming, and then unfortunately the streaming that I used to do on Tuesday, Wednesday, and now potentially Fridays will come to a close as I will be working full-time. Weekends are not a period in which I wish to stream, because I like spending that time with my girlfriend and being free to go about and do the errands that we do on Saturday and Sunday. I hate having a scheduled thing like the streaming on those days, so it is highly potential that we will only have a couple of the Friday streams. And that, unfortunately, that will be the end of it. So let's go ahead and get into the standard disclaimer for Thursday Night Fights. Read the video description carefully for the links. That's the description down below that has links to Facebook, to our Discord group, the GoFundMe for Goofy. We'll talk about that in a little moment. There is no ETA on Beta 6. There will be no mobile versions. And the major differences you see on screen between what I'm playing and what you're playing is because I'm in 6 and you are in 5.2. And there has been a good chunk of advances between the version you have and the version you'll see me playing. So, let's go ahead and get into things today. So far, this being the first week back at a job for me in quite some time. I'm tired, boss. I'm tired. Rebuilding the workflow and everything, that is for sure. Plus, I have the wonderful benefit of the fact that my boss is actually moving out of state. So within the first week, I had a boss, and then he's moving out of state, and I won't have somebody on site. That's always, to me, a good feeling. I know what I got to do. I like doing it, and I hate having the authority figure hang right over me there. Now, I will have somebody who will be my boss that's going to come down in July, but I will have a nice solid chunk of time where I'll be alone, and that is where I prefer to be when it comes to doing work. I like working alone, but I'm tired, boss. Yeah, and my commute is killing me. This commute is way worse than I thought it would be. On Memorial Day, my girlfriend and I drove it, and we're like, wow, it's actually like a really nice place over here, and it was only like 35 minutes. No, when traffic starts and it's rush hour, God, the predicted time was an hour when I was coming home today, and it most certainly was. It was like an hour and 10 minutes. Like, fuck. Anyway, let's jump into today's team. This is one that I've been wanting to do for a while, and that is going to be Thor and Storm with the lightning rod. Yay, lightning rod finally popped up in my store. Don't know why it never appeared in my store for the 5.9 save, the more robust one that I was doing for a lot of these videos. By the way, a few weeks ago, and I've mentioned this in a video, my main game hard drive crashed. My big D drive that had all the games on it, Marvel Heroes, Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux, all of that stuff, my Steam library, my Epic library, most of Battle.net except for Diablo 4 and World of Warcraft. And we're all on there, and that drive went tits up like you would not believe. It recovered enough that I had it in the computer for a little bit, and I managed to take my Redux Beta 6 directory completely off of it and backed it up somewhere safe, whereas normally I was backing up the saves. Well, dumbass me didn't think to go back up the saves or the older versions of Redux that I had, like Beta 2 and Beta 3 when they were still Flash and all that. Yeah, gone, dead, reduced to atoms. I used the stones to destroy the stones. It turns out that my 5.9 save wasn't as bad as I thought. I thought it dated all the way back to Thanksgiving and only dated back to February, which is cool. However, I can't get this gun in that save for some odd reason. So here we are with a little bit of a limited team, but it's still pretty solid. It's going to be Thor and Storm. You obviously can figure out that it's going to be like chilled and lightning stuff, and I finally have the lightning rod. We're going to have fun with that. So the plan is we're going to use the pawn to shield myself, and I take damage with Blade of the Guardian, so it's going to be coming to me. The Coulson's Revenge is there to get extra attacks, which would accelerate Thor's stacks and may get static charge going from Storm and contribute to her elemental mastery. In other words, she uses a level 1 for free, so I can focus on the other abilities. Blade of the Guardian brings the attacks to me. Lightning Rod should be the big punch out. Coulson's Revenge is there if I need a big hit. Now, there is a variant of this team that I think could work, and that is if you are bringing attacks to yourself by defending yourself with something like Blade of the Guardian or the Knight or any of the other taunting related weapons and gadgets. What you could do is in the store go to the melee category and get the Frostbound Hatchet. It exploits chill, and it also does icy, applies chill when attacked by melee. So if you're bringing the attacks to your agent and they're hitting you, they're going to get hit by this passive of the Frostbound Hatchet, which means you spread chilled for free, and then if you manually use the hatchet or the lightning rod, you can exploit said chilled, and then applies Frostbound when attacked by melee. Frostbound targets shatter when attacked, damaging enemies, so a little bit of splash. The Coulson's Revenge is admittedly a crutch. Let's be honest about that. You've seen the rocket pistol in a lot of videos. You've seen the Coulson's Revenge in a lot of videos. That's because it is generating extra attacks right now for beyond just the Avengers. If that ever gets fixed, be prepared not to abuse the Coulson's Revenge the way you see me do in the video. So wear a tanking weapon and then take your Coulsons out and apply the Frostbound Hatchet instead. Also, you can get the Pyro Tonfa, which exploits chilled, but the problem is when you use it, it exploits the chilled and then converts it right over to burning. And we don't want to do that because then the chilled goes away. We don't have the rocket pistol this time because we're sticking with the chilled. Like we put the burning away, we put the bleeding away, thanks, you've done enough. Let's do something a little fucking different for a change. So here we go. Before we get into that, I will go ahead and collect my daily jets. We'll hit collect all for our allies. Over here on team, we have Kitty was training. She's now level 8. We're going to send Daredevil to train. Magic just earned her about a week or so ago from her Spec Ops. Me loving Magic. Love Magic so much. Love her abilities. Love her animations. Just a really, really, really fun scrapper. Not you. Yes, you. Not you. I'm going to do a video on him, by the way. Keep that in mind. And, yeah, super thrilled to have Magic on the team. She's coming along nicely. Daredevil has a nice short training. Also picked up Black Panther. He's coming along. And Emma's getting up there. And as, of course, you know, she's over in Marvel Rivals. By the way, did you see the trailer for that new Marvel fighting game that's coming out of Japan? Those graphics are very, very reminiscent of Marvel vs. Capcom. I don't know about the roster size. They say it's 4v4, and in the trailers, all I was seeing was like 8 characters. I hope it's bigger than that. but at least it doesn't seem to just be an MCU slog. Yeah, Miss Marvel's in there, and you could say, well, Napalm, she is MCU, but she isn't in a lot of games, especially a game like that. So it's nice to see a little bit of fresh blood, and Doom is there, and of course Doom was always fun in Marvel vs. Capcom games, but looks interesting, excited for it, also excited for Marvel's Mystic Mayhem when it comes out on mobile, whenever it comes out. I feel like I've been waiting for that for a long time, never got into any of the betas or alphas or anything, and still plugging away at Rivals. Still really enjoying Rivals, but I have not played much of Ultron. I played Ultron for one match where I was the only healer, and he is not strong enough to be a solo healer, so I was on him for one death and went, no, and picked up Cloak and Dagger. Alright, we don't want to use the Lightning Rod yet because nobody has been debuffed, so we're just going to go swipe at the Agent. We'll use the Blade of the Guardian. Solid damage, and there you go. Thor has added, thanks to the Coulson's Revenge, and he now has a stack of Might of Mjolnir. That is why we have the Coulson's Revenge here. Now, granted, if I got the movie suit, I could make Thor legitimately do that with the Coulson's Revenge. That is a fair comment, but Storm would not be doing it, but she has the potential. Let's give him another stack by whacking at Quicksilver over here before Hercules starts tanking, and oh my god, we are outclassing these guys really, really bad. Let's get out the Blizzard, which finally gives us our Chilled, plus the crits on Hercules. Yeah, I have almost like just 1 3/4 times their hit points over here. So this seems unfair. I have not progressed my tournament, even though I picked up Deadpool, because even if I do practice matches, I'm pretty sure I will be under the conditional of tournament season 2 and 3 and 4 and etc. And I don't want to reveal those conditionals, and I don't want to expose them by being in a practice, and then maybe you can figure out what the theme is. So yeah, I'm just going to stay in that weird limbo between season 1 and 2 and do practice matches until beta 6 goes out to everybody. By the way, do consider the GoFundMe for Goofy, link below. His brother still needs quite a lot of medical help, and it is certainly very draining for Goofy and his family to they're dealing with the financial burdens of what his brother has gone through, and of course the physical burdens of it. It's very sad what happened to Goofy's brother, and it's been happening for a few years, and the last one was critical with blood in the brain, which is never good at all, and also kidney and liver issues. Sounds like a body wanting to shut down. So if you do have some spare change, please do consider the GoFundMe that is linked in the description. And remember, it's not about the project. That GoFundMe is strictly for Goofy himself, and not just Goofy himself, but the care of his brother. It has nothing to do with the project. It doesn't enable the project to come out quicker or more bug-free or anything like that. It just simply takes a huge stressor off of Goofy's plate, knowing that his brother is covered properly, because, like I've said in other videos, insurance here in the States is absolutely trash right now. Alright, we know he is chilled. Let's exploit Chilled and finally see what Lightning Rod can do in our hands. We've seen lots of PvP teams have it. I want to see what this damage is like. On paper, it approaches the lower end of the Coulsons, but there is an exploit here, so let's see what happens. Solid for a non-crit. Not too bad. We know he has his 2 stacks. One came from the Coulsons, one came from attacking Quicksilver. Let's go ahead and do the Thor Hercules fight. Zeus, you flicked too hard. Yeah, really solid. Really, really nice to see Thor put up that level of damage. especially in his base suit. Now, for somebody who does love their uniforms and everything, you might say, Napalm, why do you still have him in his stock suit? It's simply purchasing power. The CP is only a 322. I, for the most part, was aiming at new characters rather than bumping up old ones, which is why he's not a future foundation. He's vanilla. Hulk, yes, I did bring Hulk the Warbringer, because that assists the entire team. That is not a selfish passive. It helps everybody. I mean, I still have so many people to recruit over here. But Black Widow isn't in a uniform. Hawkeye is, because everybody loves the Heroic Age Hawkeye uniform. And the audience clamors for that. She's not in claws. He's stock. Daredevil can't be anything other than this because he's all season 2. But Doctor Strange I did move over. Same for Human Torch. Shadowcat I had to because she is too weak in the beginning phases of her leveling in her default uniform. But as you can see, pretty much stock except for some rare exceptions over there. Wolverine I definitely recruited right into brown and tan. And yeah, oh, let's get rogue training. Yeah, we do have some room for that. Picked up Gambit relatively recently too. That's why he's only a 5. I need to get him passively leveling in the background. But looking forward to recruiting Tigra. Captain Britain could be fun. There's a lot of characters over there still left to recruit. So that's why I have not put Thor in a uniform yet. Okay, first fight, pretty easy. Let's jump into the second fight, and it's the same team. And so far, the same turn order. Alright, so the pawn gives myself... We know I'm the one getting attacked. I could use the Coulson's Revenge. That's very, very high stamina again. I think I'll just swipe with the Blade of the Guardian. Yes, Quicksilver's not going first like you would expect, and he's not taking multiple turns. However, that is what the Quantum Jumper attempts to do. And the buff is there, but it didn't exactly work. This is a well set up PvP team, because if Quicksilver was performing correctly, he would have had his 2 attacks, and then Quantum Jumper went out, and then he would have had another attack. That's 3 in the first turn. That's actually really, really smart. That is impressive. Blizzard goes out, because we like the shield, plus it gives this version of Storm her elemental mastery. The shield held very, very well. And his defense is shooting up. Light pepper attacks like that are great because they don't break the shield. Huh. Interesting. The passive from the lightning rod gun. Wow, the agent jumped in because the agent was protecting, I should say. Smashed for it. She not only protected the actual counter, she protected against a little bit of extra, like, splashback damage. Boy, that's a little buggy. Let's summon Thunder on this one, because that's worth the price of admission. You know that's why you're paying a ticket to see Thor in PvP, is to see a nicely buffed up Summon Thunder, which, when you eventually get some E-ISOs, if you add Skull Thumper to a Bruiser Thor, the one that says you have a chance to stun on attacks, Skull Thumper is beautiful on Summon Thunder. Kinda mid. I think I would have preferred the single target, to be honest. Shield is doing mighty work on my agent. I gotta see his defensive stats after this. Off the charts. Holy shit. Look at that defense. 57-27. Okay. This is something to keep in mind when you guys start PvPing. When you're PvPing in Beta 6, when you get a hold of it, and you start running into Quicksilvers, if you run the pawn down here, you are going to make your agent just a complete brick shithouse. All of those attacks, see, it's not the hit that causes the defense to go up. It's the fact that you're getting hit. It's the frequency. It's the quantity, not the quality. So all of those multiple hits that Quicksilver is doing is jacking up his attack, and it's not even hurting him because he's not strong enough to penetrate the shield. I have not seen defensive numbers like that since Molly Hayes or the Elite ISO, the escutcheon ISO and everything. That is an incredible thing to have at this stage of the game if you're going to be running into people that just do light pepper attacks like Quicksilver. That's crazy. I think because I've already used the pawn, my quick action is going to die and my turn's going to get... Yeah, my turn got passed. That's an unfortunate bug with quick actions. Now, Hercules gets through the shield, but I still get the defense up and then the Blade of the Guardian counter. If I had a little bit more gold... Well, let's see... 64. Yeah, I don't want to drop below 600. If I had a little bit more gold, I would get the Frostbound Hatchet and have fun with that, because the Lightning Rod would be returning electrical damage, Frostbound Hatchet would be returning chill damage, and Storm would be losing her mind at that. Storm's biggest weakness is either her Tactician version, which gets Infiltrator pissed off, or the Blaster version pissing off the Tacticians. The fact that you really have to use Blizzard as the opener because that's what fuels her kit is a little scary. But that's why my agent is protecting, is to try and take the heat off of Storm from direct attack. I would not be able to protect Storm from a Infiltrator going after a Tactical Storm, so that's why she's a Blaster for this. Lightning Rod, and let's do it on Agent Valentin. He's infamous around these parts. He was the agent who switched classes a couple months ago, but he's not going to get a chance. And you'll notice we got rid of Scarlet Witch so easy. She didn't have a chance for her random buffs move, so we don't have a crazy fight with a completely infinitely immortal invisible woman who just dodged and tanked everything. So have a Thor. Yeah, that's revenge for that fight a couple weeks back. Easy 3-0. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Slightly different team this time and a different turn order. We still have a Protector agent, but now he's a Blaster. There's Quicksilver and Warbringer Hulk. Pretty strong team. Honestly, a Neurotrope would do this team really well. They're strengthened. But Thor goes first. And remember, we don't have a stun on Summon Thunder. Unfortunately, the agent protects, the agent is a Blaster, and I am a Bruiser, so Thor is deliberately going to mess up for this one. We don't have a choice. Quicksilver goes after Storm, and if you're wondering, like, why didn't he hit my agent? Remember, he's stealthy. Stealth gets around protection. Interesting extra little tag team over there. There it goes again. That protecting against that extra little lightning rod passive. Thunderclap gives a staggered, which means you can't dodge. There we go. I've been waiting for that for Thor. For Storm, I've been waiting for her to get that extra level 1 off of the Coulson, so now I don't have to manually do it. So that means she has the Nature's Wrath is working, and she put out Well, she was supposed to have put out a static charge on that. I'm gonna kill whoever I shoot. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take out Hulk because of the passive, which will just bump up Quicksilver's damage. Plus, it's nice to have an epic overkill on Hulk. Fully buffed up. Yeah, we'll do a hammer throw. Slaughter. Absolute slobber knockers. They're not slobber knockers because they're really, really good dramatic fights. They're overkills on all of them. And my armory, I mean, it's don't blame my armory. There's like nothing there. All right, Agent Valentin again, which is, I mean, this team is a threat. There's a blaster against my bruiser and an infiltrator against my tactician, so... Plus, Scarlet Witch is usually a mighty pain in the ass, and is a blaster, so we don't want to attack her with Thor, so we'll go for the agent. I tank the counterattack from the Fury. Yeah, the taunting and everything is a little overpowered right now. It's protecting against things that it shouldn't. Scarlet Witch opens up with a Hex, which means their attacks might fail, but it pissed off my tactician. So this is going to be a fun round. Can't use the lightning rod yet. I'm going to Coulson's Invisible Woman. Because we don't want to deal with a Force Cage or Shield. Big. Goodbye, Sue. Yeetus. That was... Okay. That was satisfying. We owe that team a huge amount of revenge from a couple weeks ago when they just nearly whooped their ass. We'll do one more fight. I think that was their 5th that we just did, but this has been fun. I feel like at this point I'm not taking candy from a baby. I'm doing the robot chicken thing where I'm punching the baby in the stroller. Interesting. We have Agent Flynn. We do see Flynn quite a lot in these videos. Thor, Emma Frost. So this should be fun. Here we go with the tactician. She should get a tactical bonus, which is deadly. Because then she can put out 2 psychic taps. Let's see what she does. And she may stun somebody with a kick. No, that is the best thing we can hope for from Emma. I would rather that than a kick or a psychic tap. Pretty big grief hit. He takes some arc lightning damage because of the gun. And would have taken more damage had I had the Frostbound Hatchet. Summon Thunder, I think, is the way to go because it will wipe out the agent and do a fair amount of damage. It's going to piss off the enemy Thor, but we'll have to do that. He might do the same thing. He might do literally the exact same thing I did. No. Wow. Glad I'm not a betting man today. Blade of the Guardian counters, and Thor is deleted. Lightning Rod because of the chill. Let's get a crit. Can we go out on a crit? Oh. Yummy. Okay. So there you go. There is a team that I've been wanting to do for some time. I just needed the lightning rod to show up in the store, and it's been in the store for weeks. I just was at a level of gold that I didn't want to spend for it, and I'm at actually $6.99. Okay. All right. We'll do it. Let's add one more battle over here. We'll take out the Coulsons, but we still want to protect. And let's see what happens if we can get a lightning rod proc and a Frostbound Hatchet proc. All right, this should be fun. Good team to do it. There's a lot of melee over there. Blizzard going out early is good. No tacticians. Perfect opener for us. Storm has been getting like one attack. She can't do a full kit. She's like a blizzard dispenser. She's a Dairy Queen. She's just dispensing blizzards, and that's all she's doing. But maybe in this fight, we'll actually get something going. You know what? I'm going to pass Thor's turn. We want to see what Storm could do. We want to see if my agent is chilling people. Goodbye. Don't you feel stupid about that little taunt there now? Okay. I'm not going to attack. I want to see what happens when my agent gets hit with melee. That's melee. Frostbound. Ice Cold. Chill. Arc Lightning. Okay. That's what we like to see. Let's do Protective Shroud. That's another major component of Storm's kit. He just killed himself to death. He just suicided against my passives. There's the stun. We've been lucky for weeks that Hercules over there has not really gotten a good stun off of his column down, and he finally broke his streak and got a stun. Okay, so we did get to see some of what goes on with that Frostbound Hatchet, and it is like we thought. Ignore the tooltips over here. It's bugged. It's technically looking at my PvP gear for some reason. But we did see the Icy going out. We saw the Frostbound going out, but we did not see that Shattering. And we never got to use the Frostbound Hatchet to see how good the Exploit Chilled is. But that Lightning Rod, yeah, this team is exactly what I dreamed of. Not hard for you to build this team yourself when you get access to Beta 6. Lightning Rod is in the store. It's about 64 gold. Blade of the Guardian you could use, or you can use the Knight. I think the Blade of the Guardian's better. This is a Spec Ops drop, and this is a store purchase. So this is a little on the expensive side for this team, to be honest. This is only one thing as a drop, and the rest of these are purchases. But hey, I mean, look, there's no cheats. There's no modification of these save files. I'm level 93. I'm 7 levels away from 100. And, you know, look at my resources over here. You're going to have nothing to complain about when it comes to playing this game as much as you want. So, alright guys, I will see you tomorrow over on my Twitch channel from 3 to 5 Eastern. Think about donating to Goofy's GoFundMe if you can. Join us on Discord. Join us on Facebook. And I hope everybody has an amazing night. See you guys.